What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Redriveraviation. Hope you're on a fantastic day today. And today I have a very exciting Airline Collectible Haul video for you all. I really hope each and every one of you are excited for today's video. And without any further delay, let's go ahead and get started. This will encompass mainly all of my February 2024 travels. I believe there was 4 day trips and 1 2-day trip. So definitely shorter durations, but still plenty of flights to cover. And I'm really excited for this. If you're a Southwest lover, get it. No, I'm just kidding. You will certainly love this video. Sorry, I just had to do that. And there are some other airlines in here like Frontier and United too, so it's not all completely Southwest, but this will be certainly the focal point as their sales are fantastic, inducing many day trips, as we'll see here in this video. So again, really hope that you're excited for this, and without any further delay, I'm just going to go ahead and move all the airline collectibles off to the side. We have a whole stack here, so excited to take a look at all those, but we'll just go ahead and get started one by one here with these items. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first trip, this picks up from the last airline collectible video that we did on the Los Angeles Collectibles show. This was the next trip, so this was a 2-day trip with multiple airlines. So Oklahoma Spotting, Sean Spotting, and myself. First started off by taking this Southwest Airlines 737-8 MAX 8 it was rather, from Tulsa to St. Louis. This is my first time doing Tulsa to St. Louis, so that was really fun. It was at 6:25 a.m. B4 for the boarding position, which comment below, I would love to hear, but I'm almost positive that now Southwest does their boarding positions based upon a fair revenue opposed to the check-in time, because it's varied so much. But I'm not getting low A's, or sorry, yeah, low A or high A's rather anymore. I'm getting more in the B's. This was actually a pretty good one, getting B4 here, but I've mainly been getting closer to B20 to B40, anywhere in that range. So yeah, but this is a really nice boarding pass right there. As you can see, boarding was at 5:55, gate B3, looking very good. You're gonna see a bunch of these companions as well. Sean Spotting and I split his companion pass, so it was really good for this and it worked out fantastic. So overall, really good. This is a great boarding pass to get us started, and certainly looking absolutely fantastic right there. And then following that, we have quite a variety of napkins here, so these look really good. These are the only ones that are in good condition. I have a whole stack over there of folded ones, but these ended up getting tied into a safety card, so that ended up working out really well. So that looked really good. Here's my homework from the other day too, talking about the Chicago Convention from 1944. I have since almost finished that class, so that's crazy. Only 8 weeks, it goes quick. And then we, of course, we have the Southwest 737 MAX 8 safety card. There's not too much depth to the safety cards, so there's not going to be too much to do a crazy assessment on, but of course we can look inside and get a grasp as to what it looks like. It looks really cool. All the Southwest ones are pretty much the same for the most part. However, of course, the door configurations are a little bit different. So we go into all the details of this quite a bit. I think the last video we did get pretty far into details on these, so we'll save that time for more of the comparison ones with new safety cards. But anyways, this does look really good, and luckily these are in really good condition. Luckily, I was also able to get a second one, so if you are interested and want me to mail you one, the first person that comments below, I'll send it to. So just send me a message, and then I'll send you a message on Instagram or email or someplace like that, so we can get the address, and I'll send that to you if you're interested. So yeah, glad to get some extras there, and those look absolutely fantastic, to say the least, right there. And then the next boarding pass that we're going to take a look at is the next flight from St. Louis to Atlanta, and it's going to be on this Southwest 737-700. The boarding time was 8:55, so this was a pretty decent layover here at St. Louis, so I had a bunch of time. Mainly did homework. Didn't have there are a couple places that you could spot, but it ended up going fairly fast, and I really want to get that homework done. It was overcast, so it wasn't a huge loss, and there wasn't any specials. So, and I did do a little bit gate spotting in between, so all worked out. But at gate E12, the St. Louis concourse is quite interesting. So overall, this was really cool to assess, and certainly very glad to get to take this Southwest flight right here. Yet another companion class 1276. Really fun flight, and overall really enjoyed it. That was a bunch of fun. And then as such, we have the 737-700 safety card. This one's in okay condition. I've seen better, I've seen worse. We'll see both of those in this video. Here's the inside, a little tore up, but overall pretty good. You got the different rafts, but pretty similar concept to the others. So overall, looking good with that safety card, and this is looking absolutely fantastic right there. Trying to get these all organized so they don't go out of order over here, because I am going to line them up at the end, of course. And then we get to the Delta Flight Museum, which was a bunch of fun. So we do have some various memorabilia from there. Fortunately, this sticker that I got bent up, so I'm not sure exactly what I'll do with this yet, but I do have that, so that's quite cool. And then in the Delta Flight Museum, the last couple times I've been there, I've never got a chance to get these. So we have the Wright Travel Air 6B card, and a really good Boeing 747-400. That's really cool illustration, so that was really cool to get. And we also have the double DC-3, which is quite cool. So really cool illustrations right there as well. And lastly, we have a Lockheed prototype L1011. So these are really cool, so certainly very glad to get those. That takes us into the experience card. I've never got to get a chance to get one of these, so of course I got that. This is a really cool graph to kind of show it all. Hopefully Airlines International will return to the Delta Flight Museum in the future. So that overall looks really good right there. Then we have the pre-flight checklist card. So you can see here on the 767, it shows you all the various components underneath here, which is really cool. So that's super nice. So I hope to do this next time. I didn't know this was in here, I would have. So overall really cool. And that's certainly very nice to have as well. Got a couple more of those. So if you're interested, again, just feel free to comment, just like the Southwest, and have some more pre-checklists. So if you're interested in that, feel free to let me know. And our next flight comes on Frontier with their Airbus A320neo from Atlanta to Miami. So Atlanta was super fun. I really enjoyed it. Luckily, the security line wasn't quite that bad this time, but it was certainly substantial. Didn't have pre-check, unfortunately, so I had to use normal line. The reason that I printed off my digital boarding pass was because the printer at the gate counter was broke. So this was the only choice if I wanted one in paper. So yes, it's not perfect, but it still looks pretty good. And yeah, Frontier honestly did a pretty good job. I wasn't complaining too much, especially that I got a Grizzle the Bear safety card. So I didn't cover it, but during the Atlanta Collectible Show in 2023, I got this exact safety card. This is an absolute mess, but this is just reality. It's somewhere in that massive stack. I got to get this work here. Why not we take a minute to look at this? Don't get too many airline collectibles because, as you can tell, I have all these boxes here. I have all this here that's at some point needs to get organized into that container. And then you can tell all this other work that I have, and then it's just an absolute mess around here right now. But the good news is that we do have the Griswold safety card. So now I have two of these, so I'll actually put a sticky note inside to designate which one is which. So now I know that this Griswold is the one that I got off the plane. But overall, it is a good safety card. I really like the font that they use, very similar to their promotions and website and all that. They have the same font here, which looks really good. So very cool that they were able to do this. And the safety card does have some nice components in it. So you can see all the detail, illustrations are good, color's pretty good. Even it's got green engines, which is really cool. So all this looks really good. Kind of got a little seat map going there, where exactly the rafts are located. And they do a good job with their illustrations, very clear and easy to read, especially in a prompt situation, or of course during the time where it's assessed. So that's quite nice. The back all looks really good. So overall, really cool safety card. Love Griswold. You can see him right there. Super glad to get this safety card, and certainly a huge haul right there to say the least. And one of the newest components of Frontier that I'm super excited about that I did during the day trip when I flew them twice is their trading cards. So Frontier does have a wide variety of trading cards now, which is really cool. This crew was nice enough to give me 4 of them, so let's go ahead and assess them. We have Forrest Northern Spot Owl, which is probably my favorite one out of this group. It looks really good. I think it's funny how they only put 320 Neos back here. They don't put any 321s or all that. But they do have the aircraft designated there, so it's quite nice and a nice reading there of the animal. So that's really cool to see. I'm really excited to get some Delta ones when I fly them next. That'll be really fun, which will be coming soon in the next Airline Collectible Haul, so stay on the lookout for it. Wellington, the black-footed ferret, really good looking ferret right there. Certainly an interesting one, but hey, it does look good, so you can see that. So overall, very cool. Watson Key Deer, I've seen Watson several times, so really cool to finally have his trading card. So you can see him right there. Smallest North American deer, quite cool. And Hugh the manatee, which is fantastic as well. So there's the manatee. Overall, he looks really good. And they talk about where you can find Hugh. So overall, really cool in the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean. So a really nice assortment of Frontier trading cards. Excited to get more of these. I do have a nice variety now, so excited to stock up on more. Overall, my favorite is definitely going to be the Spotted Owl out of this bunch. But overall, really good. So that was a bunch of fun. And certainly very excited and glad to get to assess that right there. So next up, we'll take a look at our next round of boarding passes here. This is a different font because this was actually printed out at the Miami kiosk, so that's quite cool. But here we go for this Southwest Boeing 737 MAX 8 on the companion pass from Miami to Houston Hobby. Got B2 on this one, so that was really cool. And here is the safety card for that one. So this flight had a couple of empty seats, so I did get a couple of extras there too. So that was quite nice. But yeah, overall, that one's looking really good, and I got it stapled. Boarding 510, 540 departure, and then that would take us into quite the interesting situation with the next flight, which would be this Southwest 737-800 from Houston Hobby to Tulsa. We ended up boarding, our flight was slightly delayed out of Miami, so we already had a relatively tight connection, so we ended up boarding. I think our group was just getting called as we got off the plane. It was only a couple of gates down, so luckily that part was nice. What was crazy about this though was that we got on and then we had a whole crew situation. Long story short, at Houston Hobby, they only had one more pilot there that was capable of flying from Houston Hobby to Chicago Midway because another crew member on that flight timed out and it left at 10:30 p.m. and our pilot was the only person that could do that. So they took our pilot off the plane, but there was a pilot that had enough time that was an hour away from Houston Hobby to be able to do the Tulsa flight. So that guy, I think he took like an hour and a half to get in, but nevertheless he did get in. So we deplaned and waited for that. So that was quite crazy. That will make for quite a fun trip to port, but that was this flight. So pretty crazy there, but overall went well. So looking really good on flight 4231, 737-800, fully brimmed. So that was really cool for Saturday night, excuse me. So that was really fun. It was certainly very glad to get to see that right there. So let me move over to the safety cards. Keep organizing the boarding passes with them. So that was quite nice. And then let me show you some of the additional items that we have here that got mixed in. We have Atlantic Models, which does really cool custom models in Miami. Got this from the airplane shop, which is really cool. Speaking of which, there is their advertisement. Can't recommend checking them out enough. Really want to go to the Newark one very soon, so we'll see if we're able to knock that out here in the near future. So let me throw the Atlantic right there. Sorry, I'm running out of room already. And then again, plenty of these, so if you're interested, just feel free to DM me and I'll take care of that for you. And then we have the typical drink menu for Southwest. We've talked about this several times until it sees a drastic change. Not too much different to assess out of it, although it does look really good and I do enjoy. On the tray tables, they have the little clips. I'll put them in there in the middle, so that's quite cool. But overall, looking good with this safety card, so that's quite nice. Let's throw that over there. And then luckily I do have one Delta sticker that did completely survive, just with only one little fold right there. So not sure what I'll use this on yet, but nevertheless, very excited to find a way to use it here in the near future. And then here is the Boeing 737-800 safety card that we got on that Houston Hobby to Tulsa flight. So once again, very similar to the previous ones. And it feels like I've flown mainly 700s and max 8s, not as many 800s. So although there is a good handful in this video. So looking good for that one right there. So let me get that organized. I'll put it over there with the max. Okay, cool. Okay, next up we get into our next day trip. This was the Dallas day trip for only 2,000 Southwest points, which is too good to pass up. So here we go for Tulsa, St. Louis. Now the reason this boarding pass was printed out was user error. We cut it really close on time. I think we got there with only 10 minutes prior to boarding. So this was the best I could do for this one, but we still have it. So here it is, 737. 700 over to St. Louis, and it was the same amount of points, so that was super cool to get all the segments in. So here it is. This one's in good shape with the exception of the crease, but overall looking good with this safety card. Not too many differences, of course, but feel free to take a look at it if you want to. So that's really nice right there. And of course the safety card the boarding pass. I was just trying to slip it in there so I could keep it all paired up. So that's looking very good right there. And then our next flight was on yet another Boeing 737-700 on flight 765 over to St. Louis. So looking really good with this one. And you can see where the original boarding pass may have had all three of them at once. I'm not sure, but it is really cool because this was the same itinerary, but it wasn't the same flight pair because this flight was way later than that flight. So I wonder if it would have put all three of them on one. That would have been really cool. But anyway, we do have this here. So you can see February 7th, flight 765, E38, which is a gate down there at the very end of the St. Louis terminal. 8:10 a.m. and then 8:40, and then you can see all of it here. So overall, really cool. Unfortunately, my name's a little long, so it cuts off the end, but overall looking good with this boarding pass right there. And as such, you can guess it, we have another Boeing 737-700 safety card. This one in good shape too. So overall, looking good with that bunch right there. And then lastly for that day trip, it was mainly spotting. Well, actually, what did I do with them? I have somewhere over here. Let me see if I can find them real quick. Somewhere over here, I have some public transit DART tickets from Dallas. I want to see if I can find those. I'd love to show them, but I don't know where they are. What did I do with them? They're on my, I'll line them up here in a little bit. I have them, they're just over there on my desk, and I hate to waste time on that for this video. So apologies on that, but we'll take a look. in a little bit, but nevertheless, not too much actual other memorabilia. And then we get into our 737-700 from Dallas Love Field to Tulsa on 777, boarding at 6:45. I have quite the story on Dart to tell for that one too. For the sake of the length of the video, I won't tell it here, but nevertheless, it was quite a fun story. And I'll definitely tell that one at some point. So it was quite funny, but nevertheless, we did make the flight and it was comfortably. So that is quite nice and certainly a big accomplishment right there. And what do you know, another Boeing 737-700 safety card, because we love to see that. So overall, looking good with that pair right there. Okay, next up we have our next round of day trips. Next up, we're going to Phoenix with Sean Spotting and TUL Aviators. So let me go ahead and show you all what we have going on here. So give me just a moment as I get situated. But nevertheless, there's that 737-800 safety card, which is looking quite nice right there. I really like the blue on that one. I think they've done a good job. It's also really cool to find them in really good shape. The 700s get really wore out really quick for whatever reason, so that's really cool. But nevertheless, okay, here we go. So here we go from Tulsa to Denver for the first flight on the Southwest 737 MAX 8, which ended up being the same MAX to Phoenix too, which was quite funny, on 11/79 on February 10th, boarding 6:25. And we left at 6:55, B35, which is more typical for what I've been getting. So overall looking good, companion pass once again, and then we have all the rest of the applicable details. That one's looking really good. Got a very fair deal on this one too, at gate B3, so looking good for that one. And then 737 MAX 8 safety card. And then here was the one for the next seat, as we did the next flight on B10 from Phoenix to, okay, I guess it just cycles through, because this is all printed out once from the Southwest counter at TUL, so you can see how it cycles, which is pretty cool. Denver to Phoenix, we left at 8:30 after boarding at 8. Overall, really good. Got de-iced for the first time on this flight. It was really fun at gate C37, so had a blast. Able to get off, stretch legs for a little bit, and head on to Phoenix very conveniently, so that was quite nice. So overall, really efficient there, and that worked out really well there at 6:55 p.m. And then we have some additional safety cards that I was able to get from that flight, which was pretty cool. And also an air sickness bag, and why not, to drink list. I probably don't need to get any more of those. If you're interested in one, let me know on that one too. I'd be happy to get that to somebody that is wanting one. And then our last flight, after an amazing spotting day at Phoenix with no memorabilia because we just went to the parking garage. I did not keep my food wrappers or any of that. Here's the 737-800 we took home from Phoenix, and this was 2554 at gate D12. Overall looking really good. Boarding was at 6:25 p.m. and then we left at 6:55. So this is a really good flight. Really fun, had a great time, and even with the safety cards I'll show you, I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss any components of the boarding pass. I don't think I did. So here was the normal safety card, and then after the fact, I even made a 737-800 with splits. So you can see here, there's my scimitar winglets. I don't think they're prettiest, but hey, it was quite fun. So that was fun, so glad to get to do that right there. So yeah, that was really cool, and overall, very much enjoyed that. So really fun time there on the various extended versions of the Southwest aircraft. I'm really excited to fly their MAX 7 at some point when that does come into service, so that'll be really fun. But nevertheless, looking good with all that right there. Finally, no more Southwest. We're done with Southwest. Can you believe it? We are on to our next airline. That's going to be United Airlines on the Denver day trip for only $100 round trip, which for that itinerary is very good. Very tough to get it under 100 round trip. Even 100 one ways, even that's normal. So getting it half off was really cool. Thank you to the 50% Southwest Airlines sale. So as such, I got this basic economy ticket on the E319. I think I talked about this in the last video, or a couple airline collectible videos ago, but I don't know if I would have still done this if I would have known I was doing the United mainline anyways, but I had a really great time, so it worked out very well. So here it is, February 14th, 2024. We did Tulsa, Denver out of gate B8 here. You can see the various components. They start boarding really early. This flight's kind of goofy. It normally pushes like 9:04, 9:05, so this flight typically can get out pretty fast. No, I did not sit in seat 35C. It was 32A that opened up, so it was quite nice. Boarding group 6, so boarding pass. No color here from the Tulsa kiosk, which is unfortunate, but hey, it does get the job done. So overall looking good, and you got a really cool promotion back there on the back of the boarding pass too. So, and it is the thin paper, but the gate counter gives you thin paper anyway, so why not do it at the kiosk? Because I had to get this printed out because I couldn't get it on my phone for whatever reason, because it wouldn't let me check in adequately. So one of the downsides about basic economy, but oh well, it's all right. It happens to the best of us, doesn't it? Then we have the pink Revision 1 United A319 safety card. This is a really cool contrast from the yellow one that I got in the first Airline Collectible Haul video that we did. So I was really happy about this. I do have an etch to one of these, so if anybody's interested, let me know. But overall, the United ones have really good illustrations. They even got fence tips on the Airbuses, which is really cool. And you can see how the doors open up. They got A and B labeled. Really You can tell really clearly, and the overwing exits look really good. So overall, this is really nice to see. So very impressed with the effort on this safety card, and overall, I think it looks really good. So you can see Ethernet 18, you got the inside there with the different languages and whatnot. Just make sure you got all the rifle RAF over there. So that all looks really good, and certainly very glad to get to assess that there. We also have a United napkin that's actually in pretty good shape, so that's quite nice. And the Hemisphere magazine, the only legacy carrier left doing printed magazines. So this time it was Ireland here for February 2024, so pretty cool. Of course, we've looked pretty extensively through this. Glad that United's getting done with me, so that'll be quite nice for their future. Here it shows some international airport layouts. I love that advertisement right there. That's really, really cool. So certainly glad to see that. Here's the fleet. Of course, we're flying the Airbus A319, which they have the 320 in here. But overall, looks really good. Commute Air needs EVO 145s according to this, so that's quite nice. Oh, and a sanitizing wipe coming out from the bottom, so did get one of those too, which looks really good, so that's quite nice. I believe United's the only airline left handing those out even relatively consistently, and even my flights are really hit or miss. And then you can see the beverages here. I love the font that they use too, very similar to the Frontier one that we talked about earlier. They did really get elevated. They are handing out multiple snacks, and I've noticed from all my flights recently, I've got on United a full can of whatever drink I've had. So ginger ale lately. There's their drink menu, by the way. And then they have some various food options on longer flights. Of course, that's promoted in here too, which is quite cool. I hope to take advantage of that in the future. And you got the Star Alliance Network, which is pretty cool. And the map, of course, which our flight was relatively simple from Tulsa to Denver. You can see the ski resorts and all that. So United has some very good information here. Overall, I think it's still really cool that they're printing magazines for their airplanes. We will see how long this continues. Honestly, I don't think it's going to go much longer. So that's why it's a very collectible item, and certainly looking good with all those United items right there. So certainly very glad to get to assess that right there. So I'm put that in there. And then Denver was fantastic. No airline collectibles to take from that, as I get us some better light up here. But what I can take from that is getting a United boarding pass with the blue logo on it. So that's quite cool, even though it's still kind of thin paper. But we were flying from Denver to Tulsa here on this United A319 from gate B27. Boarding ended at 5:18 p.m. Again, long times, but the good news is you usually get in early. Our tow bar actually broke on pushback, and I think we still landed 15 minutes early, which is quite nice. So overall, looks great with this boarding pass. I'm running out of room, but I'm also running out of airline collectibles, so it's not the end of the world. So I'll just put them over here on the side and then line them up here in a minute. And then again, I did get a second one. This one's in really good shape. Super happy with this. So Chris Slim would probably pay $10 for that. Completely joking, of course, but hey, it's a great reference to make, so that's quite nice. And the United Airlines credit card, which I definitely want to get here in the future because the international redemptions for United are really good. Unfortunately, the domestic redemptions out of Tulsa are not as great. They do discount them when Southwest Airlines is doing sales, so that's quite cool. So the lowest I've seen in Denver one-way is 6.3, which is what it is. It's not horrible, but it's certainly not as good as the value from American Airlines, per se. Because American, you could get a one-way itinerary to a city like Memphis, Orlando, Baltimore, you know, anywhere that has a connecting flight, Las Vegas even, you know, those places. It's relatively common that on really relatively good city pairs, you can get a one-way 2 flights for $6,000, which is really cool. So, or at the very most $10,000, which is really good compared to $6,000 one way, and that's on sale for United. Typically, like if you don't have a convenient schedule, you're easily going to be doing out of Tulsa. Like Chicago, normally one way is $15,000, which is F tier compared to American, where you get Dallas for 5.5 or Chicago for 6. I just don't understand why United is not very competitive in that department. I don't know. It could just be Tulsa too, so that's why I want to look into it. But the international redemptions are much more fair. I think you can get a one-way in economy with 3 flights for like 40 on a really good day, or even 35, which I think is much more fair than a one-way for 15,000 to Chicago. So yeah, anyways, they do have really good benefits like the 2-time United passes and $100 on global entry or pre-check. DoorDash is on there, among other amenities. So here's the various levels of the card. So I definitely want to get it sometime. I just think I need to wait for when an international redemption looks good. And what I've been doing with my miles I've been getting from flights is just saving them, because it gives you 65 total, which is nice, but you need really about 85, 90 to comfortably find an international itinerary that you want. So that's what I've been doing with those. So that is the United story. So overall looking good with those. So I'll reorganize this here in a moment. And then we get into our next round of flights, which will be the final for today's video, as we'll be going on the Boston day trip on March 1st, 2024, which was an absolute blast. Thank you, Southwest, for being so goofy. So what happened was this day trip was scheduled probably 5 or 6 months ago with the Planespotter DK. It was a while ago. But what ended up working out about this was Southwest changed the times of our flights and thus gave us 2 free flight changes. So we changed it the first time, which was fine. And then we saw that the weather was going to be good a week earlier than what we were supposed to go. So on March 1st instead of March 8th. So I called them just in case they'd let it change again because they'd taken it off the website. But I was like, maybe if I call, they would let us change it again. And that's exactly what they did. So completely lucked out on that and still got really good boarding positions, which again, I think proves my point that it's got to be revenue based, because if it was based upon check-in, then we would have been lower in the sequence because we booked our tickets later, because I think they typically start by defaulting to time of purchase and then they would go on to check-in time. But now I think it goes upon revenue. So you can see that here. Anyway, out of B3 once again on 2096 once again over to St. Louis. 5:55, we didn't cut it quite as close this time, so that's why we had the boarding pass. 6:25 a.m. overall looking good. Want to get away. No companion pass this time. And then I had the St. Louis, the Boston Edwards Logan, which I thought was really funny. So you can see the second part of that here at 8:35, and then we get on to the second boarding pass, which has the continuation of that there, as you can see. So overall, that looks really cool, and certainly glad to get to assess that right there. 8:05 a.m. and we left at 8:35 on a 700. Somehow got seat 3A, which was crazy for B25. I don't know how that happened, but it did. So did not complain about that. So that was really cool. We have the 737-800 safety card that we've looked at. We have one, and this came from the whole day, not just that flight. So we have 2 of those, so certainly interesting to assess that. And then we have a 737-700 safety card for that. So overall looking good with that particular faucet right there. That then takes us to our 737-700 coming back. So we really wanted to catch the Lufthansa A340. The flight started boarding at 5:05, as you can see right there. We were walking into the airport at 5 p.m. I'm not even kidding. And somehow security was less than a minute, which was perfect, because we were essentially good at that point. The lighting was so good to get the Lufthansa and sacrifice our relatively good boarding position, which was 8:56 in this particular case. I think Planespotter DK got a little bit higher. But anyway, still really great to make this flight. 3 hour, it was good. There was a high school that made it a little bit loud, but luckily I edited pictures the whole way back and just put my headphones in. So personally, it worked great. So overall, had a great time on that, and that certainly was very nice to say the least right there. So overall, very much enjoyed that flight right there to say the least. And then we have the safety card for it. And then our final flight for today's Airline Collectible video was a fantastic outing. Somehow got one final go at it on the Boeing 737-700 Canyon Blue, which is so exciting. And that was this flight right here from St. Louis to Tulsa. So boarding at 8:40, or 8:10 rather, and depart at 8:40. So really, really fun. Absolutely loved this. It was so great to get one more blast from the past on the 737-700. And here is the safety card for it from gate E4. So it's funny because originally we had, I think there's 2 Canyon Blues, 786 Sierra Whiskey and 7813 Papa. So originally it was a Heart livery scheduled, then 7813 Papa got scheduled, and then within an hour that changed to Missouri 1, which then ended up overnighting at St. Louis. So then we switched over to the other Canyon Blue 737-700 registered 786 Sierra Whiskey. So that was crazy, but nevertheless a super fun time. Very, very glad and fortunate, grateful and appreciative to get one more opportunity on the 737-700 Canyon Blue, an absolute icon of a plane. Speaking of which, I know this isn't the prettiest, but I want to transition over here so I could show you some more airline collectibles I got during the intermission. So this is my backpack right here that I've been using for the day trips. I kind of just ditched my camera bag because this holds a few more items, so it's quite nice. But I got some new keychains on it, including a Delta Airlines widget. Sorry that it's not holding up very well. Very cool. Let me see if I can get it in the light somehow. There we go. So you can see the Delta Airlines widget. And then I got Chester, as you saw right there, on Alaska. Looking really good. Then I got the United Evo Blue. And unfortunately, those are the only 3 that Darren's made, so I had to satisfy for some other Airline Collectibles. I wanted a Heart Southwest, but it was really cool that it ended up working out to be Canyon Blue anyways. That was the only one they had in the American company store, but they did have a small American Airlines tail, so that fit on quite well too. So that was really cool, and certainly very glad to see that. Disregard the pencil, I guess it just broke on me. And then I do have 3 more items to take a look at here. So here are my Dart passes for the day trips. So this one was that one was the Dallas day trip of February 7th, and then the 24th with Shauna was the one right here. I think I got my homework on the back of that one, so that's quite cool. And then we also have the Southwest wings. They gave us this on Hobby the Tulsa, I want to say. So those were really cool to get, and certainly really enjoyed those. So let me line up all these Airline Collectibles. We'll take a look and see what we think. Sorry about that, guys. I guess it's going to be a new trend that I somehow forget some items in these videos. So the other Dallas day trip that I did that I didn't get a chance to complete because it was on my desk. Here's Southwest Airlines Flight 11 from Tulsa to Dallas Love Field. Really great flight. Really enjoyed it. You can see 6:55 a.m. boarding, 7:25 a.m. departure. B-19 went really well. Had a great flight on them, so really enjoyed that. And that was the last companion pass grind right there. And then we had the American Airlines Airbus A321 flight right here. This was so much fun. We flew from Dallas to Tulsa, of course. Really great to get back on American Airlines. Overall, had a great time. So glad that they still have their old boarding pass. It's really cool. So 35A in basic economy, got the window, so you love to see that. Overall, had a great time. It was really fun. And this was a great flight right here. So overall, very much enjoyed that. And then we have the A321 safety card. So very glad to get that. It looks really good. So you can see that they actually have the 321 outlined really well in this. And you can see the various components of it. So that's really great. So the slides and all that looking really good. So overall, really awesome to see that. And that turned out really well. And then what more do you know? Another 737-700 safety card. But we do have an American in-flight entertainment pouch, which has all the same information that had in it. So overall looking really good, and a great first flight with American Airlines this year. So finally flew all the legacy carriers, just took a few months, but that's what we love to see right there. So overall looking very good right there. So lining all those up, and then the last one is the Boston day trip. So why don't I do that real quick, and then we will take a look at it all. Alrighty everybody, so I really hope that you enjoyed this Airline Collectible haul. As you can see here, we got some really cool items, and certainly very glad we could take a look at all of these. Certainly a bunch of Southwest, but we have a nice stack of United right there. Frontier made their reference in here too, so that's really cool. And overall, we got a bunch of really great work in here, and certainly very excited for the future. So the next one's gonna be really good. We got a bunch of really cool flights coming up, so looking very forward to talking about all those. So expect that video here in the near future. But overall, this is what a day trip grind looks like. And certainly capitalizing very much on the travel, and certainly very glad to have all this memorabilia. And again, I really hope all of you enjoyed this with all that being said, that'll do it for today's video, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. My name is Redriveraviation. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe. Trust process. Do what you love and love what you do. My name is Redriveraviation. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon as Redriveraviation is signing off.